Nobody, and I mean nobody, saw this one coming. After nearly 2 decades of lyrical warfare, sneak disses, and more shade than a palm tree in Miami, 50 Cent and Benzino were this close to burying the hatchet. Yeah, you heard that right. The same two hip-hop titans who turned petty beef into an Olympic sport were actually talking peace. It could have been the biggest redemption arc since Kanye's I Found God era. Hip-hop fans were holding their breath, praying this wouldn't turn into another rap soap opera. But then, Eminem entered the chat, and when Marshall Mathers gets involved, you know peace isn't on the menu. Chaos is. What started as whispers of reconciliation turned into an all-out resurrection of beef, with M reportedly lighting up the situation like a Detroit fireworks show. Alleged phone calls, leaked DMs, and some seriously icy lyrics started circulating faster than 50's memes on Instagram. The internet's divided. Benzino's furious, and 50. He's laughing like a man who just found his next hit series idea. This isn't just a story about forgiveness, it's about betrayal, loyalty, and how one rap legend decided peace was overrated. Because when Eminem steps in, no feud ever stays buried. The rap world has seen plenty of chaos, but nothing, and I mean nothing, compares to the twisted soap opera of 50 Cent, Benzino, and Eminem. It's like watching 3 different seasons of Power playing at the same time, one full of betrayal, another dripping in ego, and a third sponsored entirely by pure pettiness. Now here's the part that nobody expected. After nearly 2 decades of roasting each other in interviews, diss tracks, and memes, 50 Cent and Benzino were quietly working on peace. Behind closed doors, these two grown men who once acted like their careers were built on beef actually sat down to talk it out. And guess who made that happen? Not a record label, not a publicist. It was hip-hop nostalgia. Apparently, a major network had reached out to both camps about doing a Legends of the Game documentary, a look back at how 2000 seconds beefs shaped the culture. The producers wanted an emotional reunion moment between the two. Something like Jay-Z shaking hands with Nas. You know, one of those hip-hop matured moments that make everyone forget how many lives got ruined in the process. And for a moment, it looked like it might actually happen. 50 had mellowed out, at least on the surface. He's a mogul now. TV shows, liquor brands, movie deals. He wasn't the same Queen Savage who used to diss people just for breathing wrong. Benzino, meanwhile, had been on his own little redemption tour, talking about growth, healing, and how the game changed. He even admitted in a podcast that he regretted how things with 50 escalated. The industry took that as a sign. Maybe these two were ready to put the past behind them. Maybe there could finally be peace. Until, out of nowhere, word got back to Eminem. Now, if you've been anywhere near hip-hop culture in the past 20 years, you already know M doesn't do forgiveness. He's not just a rapper, he's a lyrical terminator. The man holds grudges like they're Grammy trophies. And when he found out that Benzino, the same guy who tried to destroy his career during the Source era, was about to get cozy with 50 Cent, oh, he was not having that. It started small, subtle. Industry insiders started whispering that M wasn't happy about the reunion being discussed. Then suddenly, leaked text messages surfaced showing someone from Shady Records allegedly calling the entire idea disrespectful to the legacy of real beef. And then came the nuke, out of nowhere. Eminem dropped a cryptic verse during a feature on a Detroit artist's song. One line in particular caught everyone's attention. "Don't call it peace when the traitor still breeds. I don't forgive snakes. I just trim the leaves." Fans lost it. Social media exploded. Within hours, hashtag Eminem trending was all over X. Everyone knew exactly who he was talking about. The blogs went wild. Eminem reignites old beef with Benzino. 50 caught in the crossfire. Hip-hop peace talks destroyed. In under 16 bars, the internet was eating it up. Benzino tried to act unbothered at first. He posted some vague motivational quotes about rising above negativity, but that lasted about 6 hours before he hit Instagram Live and went off. He said, "Y'all gotta stop letting this man control narratives. I'm out here trying to grow." He's still stuck into '03. That was it. The floodgates opened. 50, of course, found the whole thing hilarious. He posted a photo of Eminem on one side and Benzino on the other with the caption, "Y'all both owe me royalties for the drama," within minutes. His post had 500,000 likes and thousands of comments saying, "Here we go again," because if there's one thing 50 Cent loves more than winning, it's watching people lose their cool, and the timing couldn't have been worse or better, depending on your point of view. Just days before all this, 50 and Benzino had reportedly been texting about doing a public sit-down interview, a kind of man-to-man, we've grown conversation. But after Eminem's verse dropped, those texts stopped cold. Word is, 50 didn't respond to Benzino again. The reunion was officially dead. That's when things turned ugly. Benzino took it personal. He started going on every podcast that would have him, saying things like, "I tried to squash it. I reached out. But some people just can't stand to see growth." Then, like clockwork, Eminem fans swarmed his comments, flooding them with clown emojis and "you still mad you lost a source" jokes. Meanwhile, 50 stayed true to form, trolling from the sidelines like a professional instigator. He started reposting old clips of Benzino's music videos, adding sarcastic captions like, "This aged well and ain't no peace when the songs still hurt." But here's where things got really crazy. A leak surfaced, allegedly an audio recording of a phone call between Benzino and a producer close to M's circle. In it, Benzino sounded fed up. He said, "I ain't gonna beg no grown man for peace. I tried to fix it, and they spit in my face." That audio spread like wildfire. Everyone from DJ Academics to Joe Budden had something to say about it. Podcasts were dropping hot takes every hour. Was Eminem wrong for interfering? Did 50 backstab Benzino for clicks? Even Fat Joe chimed in, saying, "There's certain beefs in hip-hop that don't die. They just take naps." And that's exactly what this was, a sleeping giant waking up. What made it worse was that Eminem wasn't even done. He doubled down in another feature, dropping even colder bars that sounded aimed straight at Benzino's pride. "They tried to rewrite my chapter. I burned the whole page. You can't make peace with the fire you started in my name." The delivery was icy, precise, and vintage M, that surgical rage only he can pull off. Benzino snapped. He fired back online, calling him the puppet master and accusing 50 of being scared to move without him. He even claimed that Eminem had industry protection, that labels, execs, and platforms all bow to him like he's the president of hip-hop. And the thing is, people believed him, because whether you love him or hate him, Eminem is the kind of artist whose shadow stretches across the entire industry. Every rapper, from underground to mainstream, has an opinion about him. And this feud reminded everyone that when M decides to swing, it shakes the culture. Even rappers who had nothing to do with it started picking sides. One Detroit artist tweeted, "If you diss Marshall, you diss all of us." Meanwhile, Benzino's camp fired back, saying, "The man's 50, still mad about magazine covers." By week 2, the story had become the biggest entertainment headline in hip-hop. The media dubbed it the piece that never was, and 50, he was living his best life. He started dropping cryptic posts about loyalty, betrayal, and snakes that smile in photos. He knew exactly what he was doing, keeping the pot boiling just enough to make sure his name stayed attached to the chaos. And it worked. His follower count shot up, his streams spiked, and rumors started swirling that he was turning the entire situation into a subplot for his next TV show. Because of course he would. Eminem didn't need to say another word. His verse had already done the damage. Benzino was back in the headlines, but not as a legend. As a punchline, he tried to recover by dropping a diss track of his own, aiming bars at both M and 50. But instead of shaking the world, it got roasted online. Fans said it sounded like 2004 calling, asking for its beats back. Even hip-hop Twitter had a field day, saying, "This ain't ether, this is reheater." Still, Benzino didn't back down. He went live again, saying, "Y'all can clown all you want, I'm the one that made history. I went against the biggest rapper in the world and survived." But the truth, survived maybe one, never, because when Eminem flips the narrative, it's permanent. Overnight, The conversation shifted from 50 and Benzino making peace to why Eminem still runs hip-hop beef culture. Think pieces started popping up everywhere, dissecting the psychology of Eminem's loyalty to 50. Fans started praising him as the only real friend in the game. Meanwhile, Benzino got buried under memes. Every clip of him talking was edited with Eminem lyrics playing in the background. Every quote turned into a punchline. The internet made sure there was no comeback. And maybe that's the most ironic part. 50 Cent and Benzino actually tried to show maturity for once, and it still blew up in their faces. Because peace doesn't sell, but beef does. Eminem reminded everyone why he's still the most dangerous man with a microphone. One verse, one subliminal shot, one moment of pure lyrical vengeance, and he reignited a feud that was supposed to be history. So yeah, 50 and Benzino were ready to move on. They were ready to act like grown men. But he was ready to remind them both who wrote the playbook. Because in hip-hop, loyalty isn't about friendship. It's about legacy. And when it comes to legacy, Eminem protects his like it's nuclear code. The truce died before it even started. And the message was loud and clear. Some beefs aren't meant to be buried. They're meant to live forever. And in the rap world, that's the closest thing to immortality. When the smoke cleared, you could practically feel the cultural aftershocks ripple through hip-hop. The truce that was supposed to heal old wounds had turned into another headline massacre, and every player in this saga walked away changed. Benzino, he didn't just take an L, he took a legacy hit. For years, he'd been fighting to reclaim his place in the culture, trying to shed the Eminem hater label that followed him since the Source Wars. But now, that title was tattooed on his reputation in permanent ink. People weren't talking about his contributions to hip-hop journalism or his role in breaking artists back in the day. They were talking about how he almost made peace with 50 until Eminem showed up and kicked the olive branch straight out of his hand. And the worst part, he walked right into the trap, because whether you love or hate 50 Cent, you gotta admit the man plays chess, not checkers. He knew exactly what would happen once Eminem got wind of the peace talks. He knew Benzino couldn't resist reacting, and by letting him swing first, 50 got the best of both worlds: the entertainment, the attention, and the street credibility without having to lift a lyrical finger. You could almost see him grinning behind those Instagram posts. He didn't need to diss Benzino again. He just had to sit back, sip his Branson cognac, and watch the internet turn Benzino into an episode of When Keeping It Real Goes Wrong. Meanwhile, Eminem's name was trending like it was 2002 all over again. Fans who grew up during the peak of his beef era suddenly felt nostalgic. "This the Slim Shady I missed," one fan tweeted. "No peace, just pure chaos and bars." But not everyone was cheering. Some corners of the hip-hop world started asking hard questions. Why is Eminem still holding grudges after 20 years? Why interfere in something that wasn't even about him anymore? A few industry insiders claimed Em's reaction wasn't about Benzino personally, it was about principle. In his eyes, you don't shake hands with someone who once tried to bury your career alive. To him, that's not peace. That's betrayal. And if that's true, then Eminem wasn't reigniting beef, he was defending loyalty. Still, the collateral damage was brutal. Benzino's phone reportedly stopped ringing for a while. Podcasts that once invited him for hip-hop culture talks started ghosting him. Collaborators backed away, saying they didn't want to be caught in the crossfire. Even his upcoming TV appearance got mysteriously postponed. On the other hand, 50 and Eminem were reaping the rewards of chaos. Their names were everywhere: interviews, blogs, reaction videos, hip-hop forums. Clips from their old G-Unit days were resurfacing, reminding fans why that duo was untouchable in the early 2000s. It was the perfect reminder that in the rap game, nostalgia pays better than peace. And Benzino? He became the lesson, the cautionary tale. The guy who reached for forgiveness and ended up catching a lyrical bullet. Still, you have to give it to him, he didn't stay silent. In a rare emotional interview, he said, "I tried to move forward, but some people don't want that. They want me stuck in the past so they can keep me in the punchline category." He looked frustrated, almost defeated, but there was truth in that statement. Because no matter what he does, The world doesn't see Benzino the man. They see Benzino the meme. And maybe that's why 50 and M keep winning, because they understand that perception is power. They control the narrative by controlling the noise. Now let's talk about that verse again, because when Eminem dropped that bar about snakes that still breathe, it wasn't just aimed at Benzino. Fans swear there were subliminals pointed at other industry figures too, people who once tried to mediate the feud or who stayed silent during the Source fallout. It was M's way of reminding everyone that he never forgets. That's the thing about him. He doesn't move on, he reloads, and the industry felt that chill. Radio hosts joked that Eminem's verses are like smoke detectors. When you hear one, something's already on fire. Veteran rappers started telling interviewers, "Man, I'm staying out of that one." Nobody wanted smoke from the man who made battle rap sound like psychological warfare. Meanwhile, Benzino's next move was interesting. Instead of clapping back again, he pivoted. He started preaching positivity, posting about forgiveness, fatherhood, and peace. He even dropped a YouTube video saying, "I'm done feeding the negativity. Let them talk. I'm living." And for a second, fans respected it. Until someone dug up an old interview where he called Eminem a culture vulture. You can't make this up. The clip went viral again, undoing all the peace talk energy he'd been trying to manifest. And the internet, being the ruthless machine it is, decided to bury him twice. So yeah, Eminem didn't just blow up the truce, he nuked Benzino's comeback plan entirely. 50 Cent, on the other hand, was on a world tour, trolling from city to city, dropping little comments about fake peace and industry snakes. He even joked during a show, "I told y'all I don't make friends. I make enemies nervous." Classic 50. And yet, beneath all the sarcasm, you could tell there was something deeper about this whole mess. This wasn't just a rap feud, it was a philosophy clash. Benzino represented the idea of let's move on. Eminem and 50 represented never forget. And in hip-hop, those two ideologies can't coexist. One side says growth is maturity. The other says loyalty means remembering every shot fired. That's why this story hit harder than people expected. Because it wasn't about who was right, it was about who stayed real. By the time the dust settled, fans were split right down the middle. Half of them called Benzino brave for trying to make peace. The other half said he should have known better. You can't offer flowers to men who water their careers with beef. And that's exactly how 50 and M like it: chaos, confusion, conversation. Because controversy keeps their names immortal. You can drop platinum albums, you can win awards, but if people stop talking about you, your power fades. 50 and M refuse to fade. They thrive on friction. They know that in this game, your enemies are your marketing team. And Benzino, he was the headline they needed. He might have wanted peace, but peace doesn't trend. Drama does. And when the king of chaos and the god of grudges join forces, there's only one guaranteed outcome: carnage. Eminem reminded everyone that he doesn't need to fight for clout. Clout fights for him. One verse can break the internet. One lyric can rewrite the narrative. And as for 50, he's already moved on, probably plotting a new TV drama loosely inspired by all this, with a character that suspiciously looks like Benzino, because in his world, revenge is best served as a soundtrack. The moral? Never try to make peace in a genre built on war. In hip-hop, forgiveness doesn't go platinum. Feuds do. So what did we learn from this legendary disaster? Simple hip-hop might talk about unity and growth, but at its core, it's powered by rivalry. Without tension, there's no story. Without beef, there's no buzz. Benzino wanted to close a chapter. Eminem tore the book in half. 50 Cent turned it into a screenplay. This wasn't just a feud, it was a cultural reminder that some legends stay relevant not because of peace, but because of persistence. Eminem and 50 don't let things die. They feed them, flip them, and turn them into entertainment gold. And that's why they'll always win, because when you come at men who built empires out of animosity, you're not fighting rappers, you're fighting businessmen who weaponize emotion like PR strategy. Benzino thought he was walking into closure. Instead, he walked into a masterclass on how pettiness can be profitable. So yeah, 50 Cent and Benzino were ready to end their feud. But Eminem, he's not built for peace treaties. He's built for lyrical explosions. And now the whole world remembers why nobody beefs like Slim Shady and nobody laughs like 50. This saga might be over for now. But don't fool yourself, these men don't forget. They just reload. So go ahead, drop your thoughts below. Who's right? Who's wrong? Did Benzino deserve another chance? Or did Eminem just do what the rap gods demanded?